The thought has been rumbling around in my head for a while that there's something of a both an ideological war going on, but also an ideological divide, in that the left, people who lean politically left within the United States have been well. It's like I was thinking that it was ideologically captured, but that just might be like the decadence of too much power. They're politically, the left did conquer a lot of institutions within the United States, and the only reason I would be against it is because principle-wise, they don't really seem to be living up to their ideals. But then I think that is partially due to an unholy union going on between the one of the big three as far as religions go: Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. And one of them, Islam, has not had a reformation. The other two have. And then there's information, but there's oddities about the other two, in that I don't know what the Jewish holy warrior sect is called. It's jihadis for the Islamists, it's the crusaders for the Christians, and I have no idea what it is for the Jews. But then, as far as like each group going through a reformation and them calming the fuck down and stop trying to put people to the sword just because they don't believe, Islam is still on that path. So I've been trying to figure out why. No, it's something that popped up recently. I wasn't thinking about it before, but then when I saw the reaction to um, pro-Palestinian groups getting shut down on college campuses and how it was heavily leaning towards the left, and that a lot of their rhetoric was similar to wording that they've used before, like colonizer and saying that Israel is in a position of power, so they shouldn't be reacting the way that they do. That kind of power politics was something that I seen coming out of the political left, but I did not see it in relation to Islamist groups until then. And that got me thinking. It's like it was too smooth of a transition, and they seemed to be odd but very comfortable bedfellows, and I was wondering why. And I was watching a video by Arisa Ali, I think is her name, but she has three parts to her name, and I forget what the all three names are. But she's a Somali, not migrant. There's a different word for it. She fled Somalia, so that's a refugee. She's a Somali not a refugee. Or did she travel on her own? I can't. Whatever it is, she grew up in Somalia, ruled by Islamists. Bad place for you to be. She got out of there and is telling her story, and some of the parts of her story are overlapping with what I've been thinking about as far as um, connections through colleges where ideologically left leaning, not groups, but trying to narrow it down to like it's not just a economic or political system that these people have been trained into. It's more of a, well, for want of a better word, indoctrination. It's like because it's multi-layered, it's throughout multiple layers of people's education that their moral tendencies tend to lean towards the left, or at the very least they deliberately don't lean right, which you could do from a neutral position, but it's kind of telling when you do an active comparison. Like you, if it's that you aren't for something, but there's a distinct lack of a thing, if you neutral on it, you should see at least some politically right leaning questions popping up, like towards anything that would be considered in that realm, because it is defined. So thinking about all of that overlap made me think about a reason for the, again, cancerous comes to mind, but that's just a hyperbolic wording. A, I guess describing it will have to do a particular element within the political left leaning sphere of see, repeating words, politically left leaning within the United States, working within social programs, working within government, always seeking out power. It's a lot of different groups advocate like on behalf of other people, but it, at least from what I've seen, at least the group that I'm talking about that is on the left, they seem to use their groups that they advocate for more as a shield than as a group that they're trying to protect. Black Lives Black Lives Matter being a very good example. Most of the money that was raised by the people that were organizing it politically did not put it towards anything that was long standing, unless you count a house in their own name as long standing. And it's not like it, it's hard to manage a new thing. Things you're not used to and you don't know how to do, learning as you go is very difficult. That's the only bit of not advocacy, that's the only bit of charity I will give towards that particular group, because philanthropy is a, not a known quantity, but it's a field of study. It's one of those things, is like, I would assume, at least by word of mouth, that if you're involved in a political organization and like the local government sees you gaining power, or anybody in amongst your group that is leaning towards having political power, would think to themselves, let me read the book on philanthropy. Or if there's, I'm not saying there's any just one particular book. Yes, that's needed. Shut your mouth. What I actually mean by that is go into that field of study. Go into the areas that have been studied that relate to philanthropy and civil giving and fiscal responsibility, and how to manage your budget to where more of the money that is brought in goes out towards services than towards administrative costs. Those kinds of things. Like these not bullet point, these commonly occurring inefficiencies within social groups that are formed towards fixing a issue typically run into those administrative issues, where they will spend more on administrative costs than they actually put any amount of that money towards the issue that they're trying to solve. Like, they will more often than not outlive the purpose that they were formed for, and then be malignant and malicious. The FBI being a example of it when it happens on a governmental level, but it can also happen on a civil level. It's like, if you have a group of people and they have power and they don't have a target, they'll find a target. It's just human nature. So, identifying characteristics of that particular group. Damn, I forgot why I even wanted to pull all that together. I was thinking that it was a perfect storm of movements on college campuses when the protests were going on, and I did see a particular element of it, that they fell in line when they started chanting Hamas slogans. It's that stark contrast of what is known, not suspected, but known as it's not just a militant nature. It's it's like it's one of those understandings that you get when you look at somebody that's batshit insane, crazy insane. It's like if you, it's like you need to accept this as a truth. They think, no, you're looking at a person that thinks that killing you will bring them closer to a God that both loves you and accepts that killing you is good. All of that would need to be accepted. Everything I just said. That it's like they fell in line with people that believe that killing someone else and sending them to their God, a God that is all loving, is something that God accepts, that they're doing a good thing. Like that's not irrational. You can see the rationale behind it, but you can also see at least the one path. You did. So once I saw that, I, I'm even flabbergasted now, for want of a better word. It's like I can't comprehend how you can. And then this also, I guess, put me in the thinking of, not the thinking of, the understanding of how I think about things and how I compartmentalize them in my mind. There's a magnetism of ideas. I think about two things and I'm like, okay, it's like oil and water. There's a reason this mixture has the consistency, color, and whatever the fuck it. There's a reason it looks the way that it looks. There's a reason it doesn't make any goddamn sense that you would side with somebody that if it was the two of you alone in the room, it comes down to who gets a weapon first, who dies. Like, why? Or do you not know that about that person? It does come down to either one of those two questions. You're either accepting that they are stronger than you and are going to go after a mutual enemy of yours, but as soon as that mutual enemy is dead, you're dead. You're either accepting that or you have no idea who you're in bed with and need to duck. So, after that thought, I've been on the lookout for, is it just me? Is like, are there any other, not even, are there any other signs of it? Because that's pretty stark. It's like, you had white people in the United States chanting, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, and not knowing what the fuck that means. It's one of those things where things have progressed beyond the point where you need to talk to certain people. It's like, you don't know what that means, sit the fuck down and shut up, I need to talk to the person behind you. It's that kind of conversation. So after that, I started to wonder, how could something like that even happen, given how stark not stark, given the heavy amount of contrast between those two facts. That you're chanting a slogan to somebody that it was like gays for Palestine. They'll throw you off a fucking building. Why do you side with them? It's that kind of thing. So after that, started to wonder, the perfect storm idea came along. How did such a thing come about? That these two, that people leaning politically left, being college educated, constantly fucking talking about, oh, just like the uneducated make politics turn a certain way. Given that assumption that, okay, you did go to college, you read a book, you know how to, you at least know the concept of a train of thought, even if you don't have one. In that environment, what the fuck are you thinking? Or what went into the thinking? What went into the environment that had such a thing coming about? And I think it is part of that video. That it was something done to them. That, no, they didn't think about it. It was just, it was a perfect storm in between being way too, not generous, being pathologically open. Because at least ideologically, people who lean towards the left in like later years, I forget what enlightenment thinkers is related to it, but there's also another word that goes into that specific ideological thought that led into questioning everything, compartmentalizing, not compartmentalizing, that's the word that I used, but dissecting everything and questioning everything. That ideologically, or at least mentally, leading towards people who are less resilient to bad ideas. And not putting it in the same realm that was like good and bad is up to subjective reality. Like, no, there are objectively bad ideas. Killing for something you consider sacred is bad because there's no universal sacred. Like, even like you break it down ideologically, you go that way. Break it down physically. Are you stronger than that person that wants to kill you for their god? Now, like, if you don't ever want to have to deal with that issue, deal with the people that go woolly when someone touches their sacred thing. You need to have an accounting of why they go so crazy just because somebody. A very clear example of it is there should literally be a picture book of depictions of Muhammad because people will flip the fuck out over that, and that's a clear example of things being sacred but not being able to be talked about. It's like that. It's like, okay, within your religion, that's cool, but you live in a multi-religion kind of society. You understand that you may not like the Jews, but you can't touch them. You may not like the Christians, ditto. Anyone who is any other denomination, you should extend them the same courtesy. Yes, but it's like I don't know, and I also find that to be weird. I'm repeatedly asking the question in my head, why aren't certain things talked about? But they're always in relation to issues like this. Like when it comes down to, it is obvious that the driving force between any war that is Israel versus whatever. Okay, it might not be an absolute, but 9.5 times out of 10, it seems to be because they're Jews. And because the other side is supported by Muslims or driven by Muslims or are Muslim. I don't know if that's weird. No, I do know that that's weird. I wonder why that's not being talked about. Because it's not being talked about by the non-Jews and Muslims. So the third party isn't talking about what is clearly the main cause of friction. You don't like the Jews. And it's weird. So, but just because I find one thing weird doesn't mean that it's established a pattern, and that's what I'm trying to point out. So, other things that I find to be weird along the ideologically left-leaning groups. Before Elon Musk got into office, they were all green energy. And then he gets in and protest. See, and then this goes back to like not thinking things through. Protesting Elon Musk would be one thing, but burning an electric vehicle has multiple bad things going wrong with it. It's one vehicle off of the road that is part of a fleet of vehicles that you want around because it's ecologically friendly. A battery that you burn has precious metals inside of it, and you have no idea what the fuck is in that smoke. That's not a normal burning car. There are cameras all over the motherfucker, so you were gonna get caught from the beginning, so why would you even try? And are you suddenly not for electric vehicles simply because then it comes down to this was political for you? It wasn't because it was a good thing to do. It wasn't because this was the right thing to do for the planet. It made you feel good. So, at what point were the people that were doing this being honest? That it's like these are the kind of people that would come out their mouth and say that they want better for the world. They're working for the world's the better good. They want to tax the rich because that's the fair thing to do. It's like it's kind of like a cop that gets caught cheating. Every single case that cop has worked on becomes suspect because it comes down to the work ethic, what they put into it by who they are. Same thing I would say to the political left. All of their claims of being fair and working towards equality are suspect now, given the multiple, it's not even several, two instances I can think of where morally you should have turned, for want of a better word, left and you turned right. You didn't turn right politically, but you took an opposite direction of what should be expected of you given your political leanings. You should not be in bed with a murder cult. You should not be burning electric vehicles just because you disagree with the guy that owns has the copyright to owns the copyright. He's in the factory doing his thing, keeping it efficient, but then his end goal is electric vehicles on the road, in people's hands, making the world a better place by your standards. But you burn no, you don't burn his shit. You burn the property of the people that are supporting the thing that should be what you support as well. I don't get it. But I think that's the kind of the point of what I'm getting to. I do get it. I just no, I see parts of it is I don't know what my objection is beyond the fact that I think it's stupid. That every group involved in this, for want of a better word, kerfuffle, could have exactly what they want. They could get their better world if they. And that might just be my frustration in the situation. I would say that you just need to talk to each other, not at each other. Sit down and come up with your 3 things that are your biggest grievances with ever noun group that you have a grievance with. And you're just gonna have to accept that Hamas is one of them's like, the Jews live, and he's like, okay, you want all the Jews dead. We get it. We gotta move on from that one. Is there anything else on you? We just want the Jews dead. Well, okay, that actually makes their list a lot easier. So leave that one there and then move on to everybody else. Who are you mad at, and what are your 3 grievances with that group? Make it a game show. Can you be tolerant? But all this came from me watching the video, seeing the connections to it, and then wondering, no, not that am I right? Because I have 2 examples in my head, and I probably would feel the same way even if I didn't have any examples. Because I'm kind of a dog with a bone with certain ideas. And I think that I'm seeing a pattern in voting, and when it leans towards the left. It's spreading towards the right now, but that's more like pathological contagion kind of stuff. It is the water that they swim in, so everybody's getting poisoned. And a word that keeps popping into my head, and I don't exactly see how it connects, is subversion. It does seem to be a persistent element. At least a lack of honesty towards, like, you hate the group that you're working against. It's not just an ideological difference. It's not just a a financial dispute. It's not anything where you should be trusted to sit down across from the table from this person and everybody else leaves the room. Because you're gonna move some furniture. And I have a hard time describing it. And I don't know if that's because I don't hate anybody or because I'm wrong about it. And I don't have any kind of layered framework for it. It's like I can't even see an aspect of it, so I can't describe the rest of it. But the left hates the right. Militant Muslims hate Jews. Christians. It does seem like the big three hate each other, or at least they tolerate each other, except the Muslim. I don't know. It does seem to be a lot of. I can't even be serious about it because every time it's like there's a lot of them blowing themselves up. It's like I don't. It's like I'd rather you. It's the reason why. There's a loss of life. It's terribly violent. I'd rather you just, if you're gonna blow yourself up, jump in a river first. But can't have what you want. So I think I'm kind of meandering and lost the point. So I was watching the video, and that got me thinking about connections that I've seen between people, political groups in the United States that lean towards the left, aligning with foreign interests that seriously make me question. It's like, did you read their brochure? It's like, all right, I get like a representative from the group came to your door and was like, can I talk to you about a strategic alliance? Like, did you read the pamphlet that they gave you before you let them sit down? Did you do a Google search on their name? Did you happen to see anybody in the room that they flinched at and like, are they going to be in the meeting? Nothing like that. No red flags. I find that hard to believe. Or maybe that's the weight of power. Like, it's like they would have meetings with people that, it's like, that's the big name that, like, everybody else hushes when they come into the room. There are... Yeah, I guess you pop off a cleric or two, people get rowdy. I don't know. It's... I don't know. I guess it's because I don't have a view of... No, I have an understanding of things that are sacred. I get that you will label something as sacred. I get that you want other people to understand that thing as sacred. Where I deviate is... That's your idea of sacred. What's your idea of innocence? And I mean that on a global scale. Is there anybody who is outside of your... not judgment, because they wouldn't even see it as judgment. They would see it as they're carrying out God's will. Broad spectrum, I'm against you taking away people's choice. And it doesn't seem like you're respecting anybody else's choice to either associate with a different God or to have a different interpretation of things that are sacred. So, we have an ideological difference. So this is probably chapter 2 in my journaling about the ideological war that I think is going on. Because there does seem to be an overlap in subject matter when it comes to well, the religiosity of the people involved, even if they're secular. That goes with the liberal left. They have some very heavy religious leanings in their practices, at least in their fervor around something that would be considered sacred, and their doctrine in the advocacy for and the conversion to their way of thinking. You have to be very, they seem to be making it mandatory that you have to be very strict and specific in your association with certain things. Even though we're supposed to be questioning everything, certain things are beyond question. And then anybody religious is, okay, you believe in God. Do I have to? And that it shouldn't be on a government. Okay, there could be theocracies. Over the fuck there. NIMBY. That's my view of a theocracy. NIMBY. Not in my backyard. Not in my front yard. Not in my neighbor's yard. In 50 yards that way. This is weird. It's like being in school and somebody talking about this super cool, awesome thing, but you can't hold it, you can't touch it, you can't look at it. You can only listen to them talk about the thing. After a while, it doesn't matter how many stories about the thing they have, you want them to shut the fuck up or show you the thing. I'm at that point. I get it's important to you. And it's like on a global scale. I get the ritual with it. I get that it helps form people's lives. And I get that most people should move back to a religious, a higher standard of religiosity within their society. I get it. I will accept that. You're stupid, but I understand. I don't. No, because I get that as well. For people who aren't religious, at least the politically left-leaning and now leaning on to the right, and you're really going to see it in, for want of a better word, glorious fashion, these people really like the religious angle. They like the pomp and circumstance, thinking that they're doing the right thing. They're crusaders for good. You're a guy with an idea, or a girl with an idea. You're a human that thinks. It's special. A lot more people should do it, but don't go smoke it. So, that's a good place to round it out, because it's like, I do have examples of there being an overlap of people who lean politically left, liberal left, and then foreign cultural elements that very much should be questioned. That was one thing I hadn't addressed. Is I was wondering if like the whole open border policy, the lax association. Now that's more moral. Lax association with drugs and degeneracy. That's more the decadence of the society and the natural tendencies of someone who leans more towards like a liberal mindset. Where it goes off the rails is where I can't even say that's where you demonize the right. That might be part of like a exaggeration of the natural back and forth. Someone who's trying to break the system and they're on the left, they go extreme left and tilt the whole fucking thing over. That's outside of any of the strategic alliances that would be happening in between. See, and that's the thing. Is it a strategic alliance or was it an ideological capture? They were so they were so willing to listen to the stories of people that they didn't know and take what they're saying as gospel before they knew it. They were repeating the same slogans. Because there is a part of militant Islam where they will put their instructions in Arabic, which is like a whole psychological thing. As it forces you to learn the language, forces you to incorporate and associate with it, but there's never the reversal. And you do see some of that in the ideological left, liberal left, where they will demand that you use their terminology, but then they won't use yours. It won't really be out of a matter of understanding. It'll be more of like a force thing, a power thing. Yeah, all of that is... Should do that next to the speaker. All of that is something on my mind. I'm going to run this through the AI and let it summarize it.